Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. As you can see, I've got Aaron the Cricket Connoisseur, and of course, I had to get his view and opinions, and also a little bit of a look back at the Test career of Moeen Ali. Obviously, we discussed it yesterday on the live with Venu. Thanks to those who joined. I mean, what a career! I say what a career with a slight asterisk and caveat to, I think, let the viewers know it's not just the stats, but probably the standing and the effect I think he's had on other people as well. Obviously, he's still going to be playing white ball cricket, but Test cricket, which he admittedly said is the pinnacle of the sport. It's just very, very intense. Before we get into the nitty gritty, Aaron, how are you doing? And were you surprised by the news?
Well, first of all, Fies, and of course, always a pleasure to come here onto the channel. In terms of the news, I'm going to be honest, I was a bit surprised. Of course I was, because as many people know, I have defended Moeen Ali's Test career a lot on my social media channels. I mean, in particular in 2019, I didn't like the way in which he was treated after that Ashes series. But I'm going to be honest, I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss Moeen Ali. And of course, there's a lot of, what to say, not debate, but, discourse when it comes to Moeen Ali's Test career. Did we really get the best out of Moeen Ali as a Test cricketer? And of course, that is a genuine question, because Moeen's an extremely talented cricketer who was, chopping and changing roles in the squad almost year by year over the course of those 7 years in the Test arena. So definitely, he's going to be a miss. I'm going to miss Moeen Ali. He's a fantastic cricketer, a great guy on and off the field as well, a fantastic role model for young cricketers, not just in this country, but of course the world over. And yeah, it's a little bit sad. I'm going to be honest. That's how I'd describe it, because he'd have these moments of hashtag Moeen magic over the years, and of course, Fires, and I know we're going to discuss some of those. But yeah, overall, I kind of wish he hadn't retired. But then again, it's up to Moeen at the end of the day, and of course, wishing him nothing but the very best of luck in the white ball arena.
Yeah, very well said. I think it's very interesting. As you said, I think a very good career. Disappointed, I think, maybe with the fact that he has so much potential and ability and maybe didn't quite fulfill it. And we're going to dive into maybe the reasons why. I think for me personally, it's mainly around the mismanagement of him. Obviously, I think he's the only player, and I might be mistaken, to bat from positions 1 to 9, every position 1 to 9 in Test cricket.
And that
So
says it
that
all.
kind yeah, it says it all, doesn't it? So for those who don't know and who didn't tune yesterday, obviously I'll quickly run through his kind of stats in Test cricket. So 2,914 runs, 195 wickets in 64 tests as well. So pretty impressive. Well, very impressive. Almost made the 3,000 run mark and 200 wicket mark, which would have been a landmark. And I think it probably shows that he's not a very stat driven person, as probably more
Well,
being a team player, I'd imagine. What do you think?
it's an interesting one, Faizan, because 195 Test wickets for an English spinner is incredibly impressive. And in fact, in
Third of all
England's
time.
Test, exactly behind only Derek Underwood and Graham Swan. So, in that regard, Moeen Ali has been an absolute titan over the last decade or so in the English Test arena with the ball in hand. He's been absolutely sensational. And of course, has provided us with some fantastic moments, even up until this year. I mean, think of that incredible off break against Virat Kohli in this year's India series. But the thing with Moeen, I suppose, is more the batting, because we saw the rise of Moeen between about 2014 to 2016-17. I think that's where we really saw Moeen at his peak. And as I said, from the end of like 2018 into 2019, things just started to decline, and he was, chopping and changing positions almost every single series. So in terms of his bowling, Moeen Ali will definitely go down as one of the best English spinners. Okay, I don't care what anyone says, he's third of all time, is absolutely sensational over the years. But just for me personally, I feel like with better management, with a more defined role or niche in the actual England side, he could have easily broke the 3,000, if not the 3,500 run mark.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think he definitely will go down. It's funny because people that he's behind are Derek Underwood and Graham Swan, as you said, and he's in front of people who a lot of people will probably think, oh, they're better spinners, but don't have as many wickets. Ashley Giles, Monty Pandasar, for example. So, which is surprising probably to a lot of people, but that just shows, I think, the service he's given, and also maybe the fact that he's been a little bit underrated. I mean, the averages are, they're kind of mid-range. They're not amazing, but not terrible either. Batting average of just 28 and bowling average of 36. So that's not it's not setting the world alight, but it's also not terrible either. So that's pretty good. And one thing, interesting thing I want to, I'm going to dive straight into it because I don't want it to be too long. And also, I just think I want to go controversial straight away. So Moin Ali, he actually said in an interview after retiring, said one of the turning points, a lot of people obviously level at him that, oh, you're quite inconsistent with the bat. That is, you're quite inconsistent with the bat, and you kind of waft out there and not really reliable. And he said, I just remember when we played in New Zealand, at Lords in 2015, and Ben Stokes had that amazing test. But he said before that I'd been batting at number 6, and he was at number 8. He said, I think I'd scored 60 odd in my last test at number 6 in Barbados, which was the test before. But Alistair Cook came to me and said, look, I know you're playing well, but we're going to swap things around because we think Stokesy can do more. So it was disappointing. I wouldn't say I knew it was the right decision. Obviously, Stokesy turned out to be an amazing player, but I sometimes feel maybe that could have been me if I was given a bit more of a run there. I would have loved to bat up the order more. I didn't always have the temperament or the technique, but I certainly feel if I'd been given the run somewhere for a while, I'd have been fine. And I think that pretty much sums up Moeen Ali's career. What do you think? Have you heard that?
I have, Faizan, yeah. And to be honest, I mean, in hindsight, of course, you can't moan about the rise of
Yeah.
Ben Stokes. He's been absolutely sensational.
Yeah, he
One of
has,
our
yeah.
finest cricketers in the last decade, if not ever, to say the
Yeah.
very least. I think back to the 258 against South Africa
Yeah.
as just one memorable Ben Stokes moment. But I think the real key thing there was batting in one position for a while. And that was the problem. I mean, we've already said it so many times, and this is only a short video. The fact that Moeen was going from 1 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, batting at 8 one test, batting at 6 the next, batting at even at number 9. I mean, that's just ridiculous for Moeen Ali, who for me is a top order batsman. So I think that is going to be the thing which, again, really does underpin his batting career. It was that lack of stability. It was the lack of having a defined role in the side. Because let's be honest, coming in at 6, 7, even number 8, of course, for Moeen, you're going to be batting quite a bit alongside the tail as an English player.
Exactly.
Okay, you're not going to be getting your massive scores like an Alistair Cook would or an Andrew Strauss or even a Joe Root would. So, of course, he's never going to go out there and get like double centuries or anything like that.
No.
But even then, when Moeen Ali scored centuries, batting alongside the tail, batting alongside the middle order, he could provide some really, really useful runs. So, although, as I said, the batting didn't necessarily go to plan with Moeen, of course, in an ideal world, England would have had a defined role for him with the bat in hand. But with that being said, great spinner. I mean, I think back to the South Africa series, that hat-trick, incredible hat-trick to round off the summer. And yet, to be honest, he should be proud of his England career.
Yeah.
He should be proud of it. It's absolutely no mean feat to have almost 3,000 runs and be the third leading English Test spinner of all time.
Yeah, I agree. I think he definitely, I think, does look back on it with pride. I think that's what he said in the interviews, and it's interesting because I think his Test career started off pretty well, very well actually. By 2017, he was the 5th fastest player to reach 2,000 runs and 100 wickets, both at the same time. So that was very, very impressive. And also the same year he took that hat trick against South Africa. Interesting that he only scored 5 centuries. I think after 2017 he didn't score any after that. I think it was, or 2016 even. So probably shows where the turning point was. And he said it was at 2015, 2016. That statement was. And yeah, I think the reason why I read that is not to underpin and to say that Ben Stokes shouldn't have got a chance or whatever. I think it's the fact that Moeen Ali made way for him, and the fact that he then looked at that and said that could have been me. Especially like as a batsman, I'm going to talk from a purely personal batting point of view. If I get 60 odd in a match and then someone drops me down 2 spots, I'm thinking, what? And that completely alienates me. And I'm probably not as nice a guy as Moeen Ali, so I'm probably having a bit of chat with the captain. But Moeen Ali would have just said, oh, it's fine. And he's disappointed. But your confidence is broken because you just think, well, I just scored runs and they don't think I'm good enough to stay in my position, even though I scored runs. So I think that would have been disheartening. And I think that probably was just, it wouldn't have been obviously everything, but it would have been the start of a precedent set that, look, you're a team player and you're not good enough to have a key role in this team. And that's, I think, what kind of has come across throughout the years. And that's been a bit disappointing, I think, from I'm a big fan of him, so I'll probably be a bit biased towards him. But
Same
I
here.
think, yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is definitely an element of fact to that as well. To be fair, obviously thanked everyone, Cook, Root, Moores, Silverwood, etc. as well. I think part of the decision was probably based not a huge amount, but some of it would have been based on the Ashes coming up and the fact that they might not have their families there. He's got 2 young kids as well, and I think he cited that it's going to be really, really intense. Test matches are in general, and without your family, even more so. So I think he's obviously going to play should play a pretty pivotal role in the T20 World Cup. You'd imagine, considering it's in the UAE and it's going to be spin conducive, but we shall see. I wanted to ask you actually then, so I'll kind of put you on the spot because I didn't ask you to come with this, but what would be your favourite Moin innings?
Oh, that's a really tough one. Favourite Moeen Ali innings? Probably the one against Pakistan. I'm going to be honest. Do you know which one it was? I think he scored, 107, something like that?
Yeah.
He scored quite a few runs. I remember that test match. That was an excellent Moeen Ali innings, to be honest. So, yeah, definitely that one. Let me guess what the next one is, Faizan. Best bowling moment.
Yeah, you can't say the hat-trick against South Africa. Let's do something else.
Well, if that is the case, I mean, that is my favourite ever Moeen Ali moment because that was the end of the summer. It's right there on the screen. It's iconic in terms of like the last 5 years in English Test cricket.
It is.
Especially the ball to Elgar. I mean, I'm an off spinner myself. Absolutely beautiful flight, guile, deception, and then just a little hint of turn, which got Elgar in the end. And of course, snaffled up at slip by, I believe, Alistair Cook or Ben Stokes. In terms of actual delivery, it has to be the one to Virat Kohli, doesn't it? And of course, everyone's seen the face that Virat made after it because it was an absolute doom seed. Doom seed. It pitched on about a 4th or 5th off stump line, and it came back loads of turn. I'd love to know the degrees of turn on that, and it castled one of the greatest batsmen ever. So yeah, definitely that for me, 100%.
And it's very worth noting, and it's not just in red ball cricket and white ball cricket. He's got a fantastic record against Kohli. He's I think it's himself and Adil Rashid and one more, isn't it? Who's the other one?
Well, no, those two are now standalone.
Yeah, I thought there was someone else who joined. Is it Hazelwood or someone who's very close? I could be wrong, but yeah, they're definitely at the top, and it's crazy, isn't it? Like Moin Ali, a lot of people just underestimate him, and in India and subcontinent countries, they're seen as playing spin very well. And they probably look at Moin Ali and think you're not a very good spinner compared to like what we're used to. And then he just comes in and cleans them up, and they're like, "Oh, you're better than we actually thought." And it's one of those things where I think looks can be deceiving, and he kind of just trundles in and bowls, and they don't realize maybe how good he is. And it's funny because when he joined or started his England career, he was a batsman who could bowl a little bit, and they found this little gem of his bowling, and it kind of then overshadowed his batting, and that's I think what's happened. Whereas obviously with some other players, they've had that balance of bat and ball, but I think with him, it was just how can we fit him in, and to get that bowling ability, and then it kind of if he can get out some runs, he can get out some runs, which is I guess how we saw it. But just to touch upon the kind of role model part as well. I mean, I said this, I had quite an impassioned kind of not speech, but impassioned kind of few words to say about him yesterday about the kind of I think effect he's had on British Asians and British Muslims. I think in the UK especially because obviously he's quite open about his religion. He's not very scared. He's not scared to talk about it, and everyone, to be fair, it seems in the England team respects the cultural difference, and when they do the champagne moment at the end of every series. They always take a picture first and they let him and Adil Rashid or just him move away. And there's clearly like a respect there, which is fantastic to see and should be for everyone of every belief and whatever faith, etc. Or no matter who you are. But I think he has definitely resonated a lot with us. But I want to get from your point of view, actually, and it might be quite a difficult question for you to answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you think he's had not just as an Asian, as a Muslim, but just someone who is not the archetypal, standard, stereotypical English person, kind of white male, or from, obviously everyone comes from everywhere anyway, but for him, and from your point of view, growing up as well, has he given a positive impact, do you think, of a different side, a different person, different culture, kind of similar to who I kind of liken it a little bit to how Mo Salah's done it at Liverpool. And you have the fans singing his name, and they say, oh, if he's Muslim, I'll be Muslim. It's obviously it's all fun, right? But you know what I mean? They actually are embracing it rather than being afraid of it. Do you feel like he's had that similar impact? Do you think?
It's a tough one to answer, Faizan, to be
Yeah.
honest. But in terms of my local area, of course, I live in the West Midlands. I mean, I'm basically near Moeen Ali stomping grounds in Birmingham, and of course Edgbaston. I mean, I've spoken to people of all different ethnic backgrounds, and
Yeah.
Moeen Ali is such an icon in the city because he's
Mm.
born and bred. He's a Brummie, and at the end of the day, I mean, he's been a fantastic role model to not just the British Asian community, but to all
Yeah.
of us here in the Midlands. He's one of our own, and to be honest, for me in particular, he came up through the Warwickshire Academy. He then moved to Worcestershire and, of course, scores runs against us every single season. But the fact is, here in the Midlands, you've had a lot of people who've got into cricket because they saw Moeen Ali on the television. So definitely, I think he's had a massive, massive impact. He's been a fantastic role model for British Asians. And of course, he's just been a wonderful, wonderful player as well. I mean, that's the one thing that I really look at in Moeen Ali. He's been a fantastic role model on and off the field, but he's also so supremely talented and gifted with the cricket ball in hand. He's got a beautiful action, obviously has got all those stats to back it as well. And again, maybe with Moeen Ali, the impact transcends just the stats, just the moments. Maybe it's also the inspirational factor as well that, of course, he does produce in this England side. And yeah, to be honest, Faizan, in the future, I think we're going to have a lot of people who will definitely have looked up to Moeen Ali, and hopefully they will reach England colours one day.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I think he said it quite well here. He said, I'd love one day in 10 years' time for somebody to say to me, Moin's made it easier for me. And I think he wouldn't have just been talking about British Muslims, but everyone in the UK, right? Everyone who thought, oh, maybe I don't have a chance, I can't make it, and they looked at him and thought, oh, okay,
Well,
you know,
exactly. I mean, if
guy
I could,
guy looks completely different, big beard, bald head, like completely looks completely different to the rest of the team, pretty much. And they're like, well, if he can do it, why can't I? Um, and I think the most heartwarming thing for me is in all these forums on Facebook and whatever other platforms, a lot of people say, oh, he's my favorite player. And then they'll say their kids, right, who are not Asian, they're not Muslim, they'll say their kids' favorite player is Moin Ali. And I think to me, that's incredible in the sense that it shows how he carries himself. And as you said, rightfully, it's not just how he's on the pitch. We know what his ability he has, but it's from what everyone seems to say and from what the vibe I get. He's a very genuine guy. He gets on with everyone pretty much. Doesn't want to upset anyone, and he's just extremely easy to get along with. And he's clearly someone who cares not just about being Muslim or just being Asian. He cares about being British. He cares about being patriotic. He cares about the country, and he wants it to. And I think he is a little bit of an icon. I think in cricket for sure. And I think people sometimes forget that. But I mean, him saying there've been guys before who made it easier for me. He cited Ravi Papara, obviously. One of the kind of first Asians alongside people like O.A. Shah, etc. And so he said, I hope to open the door for someone else. And I'm sure you will, because there'll be a lot of people now that will think in the past, oh, well, it's going to be harder for me because, I'm not the stereotypical person to come through the system. But now it's, no, we can do this. And that's how it should be, I think. So I think that was fantastic. Yeah, I thought it really was.
100% Faizan. If I could just add one final
Yeah, go
thing
for
as
it.
well. You mentioned beforehand about not the typical character coming up through the system. I also did neglect to mention the fact that he's come from Spark Hill, which is basically a place in inner city Birmingham.
Yeah.
It's not out in the countryside. It's not ridiculously economically developed in comparison to other regions of the UK.
Hmm.
But the fact is, he came out from that. And I tell you what, there was a documentary made by the England and Wales Cricket Board. It's on YouTube, I believe it is. And it is like Moeen's cricketing journey, his story. I cannot recommend it enough. This guy who came up from this relatively deprived area was so good at cricket, so talented, snapped up by Warwickshire at a young age, made the decision, the difficult decision to move out of Birmingham to go to Worcestershire. And then, of course, produced the goods for the pairs, go on to represent England. and he's just become, I would agree, I'd say he's a national icon, to be honest, and he's provided us with some fantastic memories over the years. So without a shadow of a doubt, Faisal, I think that's a lovely way to kind of, touch upon Moeen's Test journey. And I'll just say it again, I wish him nothing but the very best of luck heading into the future. He's a lovely bloke. Everyone who I know who's met him have always said he's one of the nicest people in cricket. So genuine, so modest, so down to earth, always got time, not only just for the fans, but for local cricket clubs as well. You won't hear this in the news or the media, but if a local club need a player, Moeen can go down there. He's that kind of guy. He just loves the game. He's an absolute badger. So I just want to wish him the best. And of course, the day when he actually does retire from all cricket, I think that's going to be incredibly sad indeed.
Yeah, agreed. No, very well put. He's actually in my he's my top person in cricket to have on the channel. So that's my
Moeen,
goal.
If you're watching.
Yeah. Well, I've had a couple of people from Birmingham Phoenix on, so I might. I was going to actually try and get him to come on through them, but then he got called up for England literally the day that I was about to after I just interviewed. It was Benny Howe actually. And so I was like, damn. I was like, you might not have come on anyway. You might not have been able to or whatever. I don't know whether they might have some kind of ECB regulations, etc. as well. But yeah, I think I was like, damn. I'm sure it'll happen. That's my goal to have him on, because genuinely, like in cricket, there's no one else I would rather have on than him. So one day, but yeah, as you said, he's not retired yet. So good luck to him and the white ball stuff. And I'm sure he'll have quite a big part to play in the World T20 as well. And thank you guys for tuning in. Please remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We are also on Discord now as well. The link it should be in this video. Well, it will be in this video. And it's also in the previous videos as well. Aaron is like, oh, we didn't know, so I'll send Aaron the link as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, we are also on Patreon as well. So if you do want to support us on that, feel free to. And finally, Aaron knows as well, we will be doing our well-awaited debate for the World T20 teams, which I'm really not looking forward to, because I've got Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, and Aaron's got India. So thanks for that, Aaron.
Just saying, I'm feeling quite confident.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well. And of course, make sure you follow the County Cricketer, County Cricket Podcast, even, sorry, on all podcast platforms, and follow Aaron at the Cricket Connoisseur on Instagram and Twitter, all that good stuff. Thank you very much, guys.